All right, hello everyone. Um, I know I am really late to this drama. I caught a cold last week on Thursday, but I am now ready to review Scott Shafer's interview with Brent Davies. Brent has indicated that he wishes to sue Caleb Hammer for defamation or slander, and we're going to be reviewing that. I have reviewed some of Scott's other works, other videos on Caleb Hammer. I think some have been better than others. I know the last video prior to this interview that he made was rather dull and, well, not necessarily dull, but I don't think it was as hard hitting as he expected it to be. So I'm really curious to see if this interview is any better comparatively to the other videos. Scott did rename this video. I have pre-watched this video in the past. It's actually what prompted me to start reviewing Scott's other content on Caleb Hammer. Originally, it was called Caleb Hammer's Getting Sued, full Brent interview. So I'm wondering if maybe the lawsuit changed, which is why Scott renamed the video, but we're going to be going to that here.
So I've done several videos covering Caleb Hammer's off-screen antics, but one thing I wanted to do was actually talk to someone who has appeared on the show and tell their side of the story, and I actually got to do that in this interview with Brent Davies, who has appeared on Caleb Hammer's show 3 times, and in the recent episode that he did,
Yes, so I have seen the first. I have not seen the other 2 videos with Brent. I've seen the very first one that Caleb did. He was not the first person to come on a financial audit, but he made a really big impact on the channel. I believe Brent was not necessarily shown in a favorable light from my memory, and Caleb was pretty much clowning on him throughout most of the interview, and kind of, in some parts, deservedly so. But we'll get into it.
he said he's going to be suing Caleb Hammer for defamation.
So, I don't know if Brent turned his life around since the first financial audit, but defamation is extremely expensive. Most lawyers will never take defamation cases on what is the saying? They'll never do it for free. You'll have to pay quite a bit, and proving, I would say Brent is probably a public figure. So Caleb has to prove Brent has to prove loss of damages for Caleb, and he also has to prove at minimum that at loss of damages, and he has to prove that Caleb had malicious disregard for the truth. So we'll see how that goes, but if Brent can't afford this, he's going to have a real hard time finding anybody. I mean, the title was saying that he was going to get sued, so we'll see.
So we talk about his impending lawsuit against Caleb Hammer. We go over all of his 3 appearances on the show and how he feels he was defamed multiple times. And what's really interesting, we actually uncovered something in this interview. If it proves to be true, it's going to put Caleb Hammer in some very hot water legally. So definitely check out this interview. All right, so I'm here with
Brent Davies' testimonial reflects his own experiences and opinions with Caleb Hammer. It is up to each of you to decide what you believe. So let's see Scott Shaver's interview with Brent Davies.
Brent. It's Brint, right?
Correct.
I noticed on your first video, I did research for this, and the first video with Caleb, he kept calling you Brent with an E. He can't do basic research on his guest.
No, he's not good at a lot of research.
I'm Brent Davey. I'm 41. I'm based out of Austin.
Wait, but I mean, in the video, I think he's calling himself
He's
Brent.
not good at a lot of research.
I'm Brent Davey. I'm 41.
Yeah, he's saying his name is Brent.
I'm based out of Austin, and this is Financial Audit.
Yeah. All right. So for someone who maybe hasn't seen your videos or maybe haven't seen you in a while, why don't you go ahead and explain who you are and how you know Caleb a little bit?
Okay. Well, I'm Brent Davey. I've been a recurring guest on Financial Audit for nearly
Yeah, so I've seen 41-year-old refuses to get a job and grow up. That's the very first episode with Caleb Hammer. And then it looks like he has done two more episodes after that, and they've both been quite hits. But I know Financial Audit for the Caleb Hammer show, the very first one with Brent was quite a big splash for his YouTube channel.
3 years now, and it all started in early 2023. I responded to a casting call, paid sponsored post on Facebook for a paid acting gig.
Okay, so did you know him before that, or is it just something you found online?
No, it was just, in the feed as a sponsored post, but I went ahead and filled it out without even knowing what the show was.
Did it mention, do you remember how much you were supposed to be paid for that?
Yeah, I was paid $50 for that one.
Oh my God, that was almost a 3 million view video. $50.
$50, that's it. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, Caleb did have a smaller YouTube channel, presumably so. So it would make sense. Maybe he wasn't as notable. But
It
yeah.
was really early. I think he only had like 250,000 subscribers the first time
Yeah,
you were on the
so he
show.
was pretty
This was
early in
before
his
his show
YouTube career.
blew up.
It was. Nobody really knew who he was. I looked through a couple of episodes. I approached it like an acting gig, and I mean, I was kind of in financial trouble. That is the real part of it.
Yeah, so he may have been. I mean, everyone that comes on Caleb Hammer is paid to go on the show. That doesn't mean that they don't actually have financial trouble. I would imagine almost every guest does. So,
But like all reality television, you do play up the drama for the camera. Otherwise, it would just be somebody going, "Oh, I'm poor," right? Like that, you can't fill an hour of compelling television.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think kind of just going off of somebody, and if people are really interested in a financial aspect, because this is when it was first starting out, you probably could get genuine engagement from just going over finances and kind of really pressing people on, hey, what are your finances? What are you spending? No, that's extremely stupid. Why are you spending, $60 a month on Uber Eats when you can just make dinner at home? As an example.
Otherwise,
When the first episode went live, do you feel like you were portrayed fairly, or do you think it was edited
That thumbnail, man.
in a way to make yourself look worse than you thought you were being presented?
that is a great question. I was really excited as we wrapped. It was me, his videographer, and Caleb all in this apartment, and we felt the energy like we knew we had gold. And I wrapped really happy. I was like, "This is cool. Yeah, keep me in touch. Let me know how it goes." They said, "Oh, you'll know." So the episode drops, and I see how he's billed it. I see the pacifier in my mouth. I see
Did
the
you get to help?
headline.
I
Did you
shouldn't
get
laugh
to
at
help
that.
pick that thumbnail, or was that completely him?
No, that was all him. And the headline on the video itself was "Man refuses to get a job," which was not even okay. Even though I am playing a caricature of myself, that was not in the script. That was not in the content. Um, I said I
Wait, I'm already having a hard time seeing. So if you're suing him for defamation and you're playing a character, an exaggerated.
would
Okay,
get a
we'll see.
job beneath what I'm expecting that I'm able to do. And I even in that episode agreed to drive for Uber Eats. I said, "Okay, I'll try it. That might work." In the episode, he has his guests saying, "Yeah,
I remember that part in the video. He seemed very reluctant to even do that. Um, I remember him saying that he seemed really reluctant to even do Uber, to do like side gigs. He was really hoping to try to make a big splash. He would try to apply for jobs and they would refuse him because apparently he had a reputation in the local area. Excuse me. So, and then he would apply and then they would deny him and say that he was overqualified. So he seemed at the time, from my recollection, very hesitant to actually get involved with a stable employment or like really committing to anything, but that might have
Yeah, I'll
changed.
drive Uber Eats. Then he headlines it in title, "Man Refuses to Get Job."
Yeah.
That's the first time he defamed me right there.
So
Episode one.
did that piss you off when you saw that go live?
Absolutely, absolutely. I emailed him. I was like, "This is bad. This is bad. Take it down. Edit it." I was like, and he wouldn't.
What did he say back to you?
He just said, "Don't worry about the content. Don't worry about the blowback."
See, because nowadays he makes the claim like, oh yeah, the guests are all on board. They love the titles. They love the thumbnails. We go through it all with them, and if they don't like it, we'll take it down. So you're saying you did not like that. You
I
wanted.
Do you have a clip, Scott? Because this is a pre-edited video. Like, are you going to include something that says that Caleb does that? And you did say Caleb does now. Brent, I believe I'm saying his name right, was one of the very first people on Financial Audit. I think he's probably the fourth or fifth one. Or at least he's one of the people that made a big splash, so Caleb could have refined his process for it now.
It down, and
even if he doesn't have to collaborate with people on like thumbnails or anything like that, because it is ultimately his YouTube channel. If he's hiring people to come out onto his show, they're basically freelancers, and the interview is, he pays them for the interview, and then he's allowed to do what he wants with that contact, presuming, he's not doing anything illegal like defamation. But he can put a YouTube thumbnail out and, make exaggerations because, like Brent just said, it's a drama show. There's some drama that are things that are played up for the camera.
he did not.
So I guess in Brent's mind, this is something that crosses, just playing things up for the camera and leads into defamation.
Also, interesting point. As a condition, verbally, before we set out, I asked him, "Oh, can I see it before you drop it?"
Mm-hmm.
He gave me final cut in a verbal agreement before we even shot that first episode, and then he refused to edit it at my request as I was getting slammed, and as because he characterized me as basically a low life
Yeah.
leech on society.
Yeah, Caleb definitely did not like make Brent look good in that interview. In fairness, though, Brent didn't really do himself a lot of favors if he was playing a character and acting up for it.
I know we're gonna get to you later. You do
Sure.
want to sue him, but I have.
Yes.
Do you have like because you said you emailed him, you wanted it taken down. Do you have like the email of that, of him saying he's not going to change it?
Oh, I don't believe so. He wouldn't
What? Why?
email me back. He did call me
How did you
back.
hear?
But you would have had to send an email, right? There's a paper trail.
How did you hear back? Because you said you
He
wanted
did
him to
call
take
me
it.
back that day.
They called you?
And he said, yeah, and he was just, I got some scary, I remember what he said. He was like, "I got some scary texts." I said, "This is bullshit, really." And I said, "The NDA that you had me sign is actually bullshit too." Like,
Wait, so if Brent signed an NDA, Caleb could actually sue him for breaking the NDA.
there's no way that holds up.
Well, unless it's expired by now. But
And
don't
it
know
was
what the
just
terms
like
of the
something he
NDA were.
downloaded from LegalZoom or something. It didn't reflect
Yeah.
the nature of our of a production at all.
Yeah.
And so he called me and he said, "I got some scary texts." And then he actually like kind of calmed me down. I said, "Well, it's just the comment. It's all gonna blow over." So that calmed me down for a little while.
Yeah, because
And then after the
people are going to, because it was a big hit, 2.8 million view video. It's still very popular. Brent's, from what little I know, Brent's still actually, he went on 2 more times. So, but when you have the initial like blow up, people are gonna, it's a lot to take in because you just have so many people coming at you or talking to you, but you just kind of have to ignore it. The internet forgets. 24 hours, news cycle, everything changes, drama changes, people forget.
show. I've seen a few of your posts on Reddit. You said a lot of people were very mean to you. You had difficult getting jobs, and people would say horrible things
Absolutely.
to you. You can go
Um. Okay, we'll see what Brent has
over
to
some of the
say.
things that happened.
It has been hell. The last 3 years have been actual hell, psychological hell. Like the damage that this scale of defamation does. People know me and I don't know them, and they have really bad ideas about me right off the bat.
So I'm you're gonna have a hard time for defamation necessarily proving that that correlates to Caleb Hammer's video or defamation specifically because excuse me, um Brent, I believe, was arrested. I'm not saying he was convicted, I'm saying he was arrested for threatening to eat the heart of the Texas governor. And he had struggle getting jobs um, prior to him coming on to the Caleb Hammer show because of that reason, because of him being arrested. I don't know if he was convicted. I'm not saying he was convicted or found guilty or innocent. I don't know. But he was saying that he was having trouble getting those jobs when that occurred. So if you were having trouble getting jobs before, and then you're still continuing to have trouble getting employment afterwards, it's hard to necessarily associate from a legal perspective that the cause of you struggling to find employment was caused by Caleb Hammer specifically.
Can you go into some specifics about particular times where that happened?
Yeah, one time I was getting an Airbnb, and it was a room for rent in an Airbnb. A little old lady, empty nester, has a few rooms in her house,
Hmm.
and she had seen me apparently. When I got there, she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm too scared." And rather than try to argue with her, I was just like, "Wow, okay,
And that
you
was
know,
from seeing your appearance on Caleb Hammer.
yes, I get."
Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense because why would she be scared from watching a video from with Caleb Hammer? She didn't he didn't mention anything that she mentioned Caleb Hammer, and Brent at the time had been arrested for the things that I mentioned earlier. So it's possible that she might not just have wanted to rent or to, allow him to stay because of that association.
It, I mean, you see the comments on these videos, right?
Hmm.
The comments, they say, "Oh, that guy's just waiting for his parents to die and inherit their money." Really dark stuff.
Yeah.
This guy is a psychopath. He's a liar. Uh, I mean, really, like I'm the scourge of the earth. Like I'm a leech on society, and I don't deserve to exist. And I get those kind of messages, sometimes to my inbox, sometimes to in comments on my own media on the internet,
Yeah.
in job interviews. Even people ask me, and it's a really hard thing to overcome. Try to explain, 3 years of hell
Yeah.
and the complicated nature of a reality television show um, over a job interview.
I'm just curious, like, if you could estimate how many times do you think you've been recognized for being on that show?
Oh, after an episode drops every day.
Every.
Every day? Really? Like, this is my own personal experience, but like 2.8 million views plus all the other million views, that's not actually a lot. Like the population of Texas alone, um, I think it's in Austin, so okay, 1 million. But you also have to consider that's 2.8 million out of potentially 350 million the 350 million population of the entire United States. Even yeah, there's 31 million people just in Texas alone. Who's to say that? Okay, like I don't even okay.
Every day.
Absolutely. In Austin every day.
This is his
But I mean, it's
perspective,
also,
so
I
I
play the
shouldn't.
open mics around here and in South Austin in particular, I'm kind of noticed around. But
Wait,
every
so you so how can you attribute that people know you due to Caleb Hammer if you put yourself out there and you talk like you're like, "Oh, I'm I'm kind of a I kind of, show myself out there in Austin, Texas and people kind of know me." Like, well, they might not want to associate you because of how they know you from that aspect. And honestly, if you're going to be suing someone for defamation, I don't understand why you're talking about your legal case. You need to stay quiet and um you need to stay quiet and prepare your case because anything that you say here is going to be used by in this case Caleb Hammer. He's going to use this as part of his defense because they're just going to cross-examine Brent if it even goes to a lawsuit. Most of the time I don't think like most trials don't even go to lawsuit. Most of the time they settle. So, yeah, it's and this also hurts your chances for settlement because they could just play this clip back and make those arguments. But maybe Caleb doesn't want to deal with like a lawsuit, so
day. Yeah, I'll be one time I was at Ross Dress for Less. I'm buying shoes
Mm-hmm.
and there were these teenagers and they were like, "You sure you can buy that, dude?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "Not really. I don't know, but I do need shoes. Can I just play along? You know, I'm
but how's
chummy
that
in real
associate
life.
with Caleb Hammer?
Sometimes somebody will come up and ask for a photo with me. Right first, oh, are you Brent from the show?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, can we get a photo with you?" And I'm like, "Actually, man, that's gonna be $10." And then they're like, "What?" They're taken aback. I'm like, "No, I'm just messing with you. Get on in here, you know."
So not every experience is negative. So he's having some positive experiences too. I mean, you say the last 3 years of your life have been hell. That doesn't sound like hell.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
The nice ones, anyway. Sometimes they are aggressive and taunting. I've been followed in my car. My car was in the first episode, the model of my vehicle. I've
Mm-hmm.
been followed while I'm driving Uber Eats. I've delivered food to people's doors that I'm giving them food. And they said, "Oh, get a real job." It's you, get a real job.
um, so I've done Uber Eats. You just leave the food at the door like 90% of the time. Is he really interacting with people that often?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Like
wow.
I don't even have to
Like
hand
that level
it
of
to a person directly. I
resentment
just go in
is,
and I'll just
I'm not the
leave it at the
psychotic
door.
one here, it's disturbing. And it's just, you can't escape it. There's no escaping it ever.
Sure.
I want to, at this point,
Well, yeah,
correct the
you became a
record,
public figure.
establish that some of the emotion that I'm displaying is
That doesn't mean like
caricature
you
and
deserve to be
acting in
harassed,
reality
but
television,
it
and the
comes with
rest
the
is
territory
mostly
of being a public
defamation.
figure.
Well, let me ask you about if you had this really bad experience after the first show aired, a lot of people would ask, why did you decide to go back on the show?
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott. So, if the first one was so horrible, why would you come back for two more attempts? I'm pretty sure it's because he wanted money.
Oh, interesting. That's a great point. I at first said no. They've asked me twice to go back
Okay,
on
so you first
before
said
I went
no.
back onto the second episode I was in. The first time I was like, no, it is not worth it. The second time they asked, it was Noah Chrysler was the casting producer, and I was like, man, no way, no way. And I just rhetorically said, I'm not going back on unless it's a boxing match and
A boxing match, really? It's not.
I get to punch him in the face. you know and I had pitched the boxing match idea earlier to the
Hmm.
previous casting director before Noah, and it was not greenlit because the show I don't think they had that kind of budget. I still don't think they would spend that kind of money on a single episode. But I the only context in which I ever threatened Caleb was in with consent in a boxing match.
Okay, so we're already off of why. So Brent isn't answering the question. Scott asked, "Why would you go back on the show a second time?" Oh, I would only come back if I had a boxing match. And then it's like, oh, well, I threatened him. It was in the scope of what it is. I'm like, I don't think that was the question. Like, I think you're just implicating yourself there, buddy. Like, I didn't think you threatened him.
It's and this brings me to the next angle.
Scott, you have to push back. Like, you have to bring your interviewee back on track. Like, you need to re-ask him, like, so why did you not want to go on the show?
Of defamation that Caleb went with in the second episode was that I had sent him death threats.
Why did you come back on the show?
And that is absolutely not
So you're
true.
claiming that they wanted you back for the second, and I watched the beginning of that episode, and Caleb, they had you at a secret location because they didn't trust you at their main filming location. But
Well, yeah, because Caleb didn't know about the threatening with the governor until the episode. I do remember that. So it's just like he's having him there, and then he's having a conversation on why he can't get a job, and he's like, "Oh, I can't get a job, or I'm having a hard time getting a job because of, XYZ." So yeah, it would make sense for Caleb the second time around to be a little bit more secure.
you say they wanted you back. Is that what happened?
Yes,
But why did you come back? You didn't answer why you came back the second time.
they did want me back, and I had negotiated pay of $4,000 for the appearance fee.
Okay, so you wanted to come back because you wanted money. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like, why is there so much? Scott needs to put Brent back on track because he didn't answer the question.
And when I get there, I find that it is going to be framed as a gift to a homeless man and not my
What?
wage.
No, okay, so if that's true, that's really shitty. But yeah, going from $50 to $4,000, I imagine it's probably an hour interview, maybe an hour and a half. $4,000 for an hour's worth of work? Like, yeah, that's pretty good. I'll take that.
And that's how they framed that episode.
Did you get the $4,000?
I did at the very
Yeah, but I mean, if that's how they're gonna frame the episode, it's a shitty thing to do, but you signed, and if they told you beforehand, like, you're getting $4,000, so
end of the episode.
like, you can get buyer's remorse for how much maybe you could have negotiated better, but you agreed to it.
But they did not frame it like I had earned it. They framed it like it was a pity.
I mean, they're allowed to frame it however they want to. Like, yeah, it sucks, but you're a contractor, basically. You do your work, you clock in, you do a set amount of work that you need to do, and then they're able to do with the results of your work how they want to.
Like, I believe that the angle they were going for was.
Did they tell you? Did they?
Because so Caleb could have just done the whole interview, spent $4,000, said like none of this footage is usable, and then just not even bothered with it. Like, that's Scott's decision at that point, because Brent sold, he doesn't own the content that he's making with Caleb. He's basically, a contractor. Does a set amount of work, and then just for that amount of work, and then just leaves. He's not a regular employee under Caleb. And even then, a regular employee might not even have a say. So ultimately, it's the boss's decision. Maybe it shouldn't be that way, but it is.
They tell you beforehand, oh, we're going to present you as like this crazy person. We're going to go to a different location. Did they tell you all of that? It was like a bit or what?
No, I had
No?
no clue. I had no clue.
I like how we're not even talking about why he came back on.
And Noah Chrysler has really great soft
There's no
skills.
mention of that.
He said, "Man,
The
you're
second
gonna
and the
look.
third
You're
time.
gonna be standing up for
Completely dodged the
yourself. You're
question.
gonna look better. It's gonna improve your reputation."
So they framed it
Yeah.
as redemption.
Exactly. That's how they. And I thought, okay, well, it's going to be a redemptive angle. I'm going to have a redemptive.
So if they did, okay, so you went once, you didn't like the experience. you went twice. The second time, you didn't like the experience again, and you're saying that they did things that would make you were even worse. Like, oh, I'm pitting you. Here's your money, homeless person. Why would you go a third time? If first time I could see like, okay, maybe it was just a one-off bad experience. Second time you have that interaction, it's bad again, and they're doing even worse things. Why would you go a third time?
Angle with his audience, which is the audience I need to make redemption with to get this harassment to stop, right? And I'm gonna make money, so I went ahead and did it.
So, is the reason why you did it a second time is that you're trying to get his audience to stop harassing you and then also get some money? Okay. I can maybe see that angle. I don't think it's gonna work, but
Get to
we'll see.
the location, which was actually a Fortnite game studio. They make like mods in Fortnite or something like that.
Interesting.
And I get there, and there's cameras are rolling as I get out of the car, and I had agreed to 45 minutes of
Work.
film production time,
basically.
and I started my
contract
clock
period.
right then. I started my clock right then. I get patted down.
We're going in cold, open-minded. We have no idea what is going to come of this.
Down here, Brent.
The man just arrived.
Don't have any weapons in the world.
And
I mean, in the context of Brent being arrested for, making threats, I could see why Caleb might be a little apprehensive.
I get sat down, and Noah gives me paperwork about this thick with cameras around me, cameramen around me, filming me going through. I was like, this is duress. I actually addressed the cameras that are filming. This is not in the episode. I addressed the cameras. This is duress, and I don't have any time to read this, so none of this.
Then just take it home and just... Because okay, so you're unemployed. You don't have any money. Can't you... If you really want to make sure that you're not being screwed, isn't it? Can't you just take, half hour to read through it? Because, like, say it takes you 2 hours, 45 minutes of work, 2 hours to read through, 3 hours worth of work for $4,000. I think that's pretty good. Plus, you get your name cleared, at least from your perspective. So, yeah, I can get it. The pressure's there, but you're 41, my man. Like, you need to have more cognitive... You need to be more aware of that type of situation so that people don't take advantage of you. And taking the time to just say, hey, I'm going to read through this, I'll get back to you, and we'll start then, once I'm done reading through it. And if they don't like that, well, too bad. Because, you don't know what you're agreeing to.
This is binding.
Yeah.
as I sign it and hand it to them.
Okay, it's not binding under duress. No, it's not under duress. Them having cameras ready is not under duress. They're saying that's not under duress.
And because there's a whole
In my
production
opinion,
crew
it's not
waiting
under duress.
in there, right? And then we hit the podcast room, and Caleb's like, "Mr. Brent, you know why we're at a secret location?" I'm like, "No." I can't believe it. He said, "Because we received many death threats from you." No, I relayed that I was receiving death threats from your fans. That is actually what I was relaying.
So if you never threaten him, and he's saying on camera too, I think that video got over 1 million views, that
Yes.
you threatened to kill him, or you threat death threats,
Yes.
that's slander.
It's libel. Yeah. I mean, libel is any fixed medium. This seems to be a area of misunderstanding among Caleb's audience. Libel in the modern new media age is any fixed medium, such as a podcast, such as,
Do you still have the emails or text or whatever of them saying, "Hey, we want you back for the second episode"?
I don't believe so, but I wonder if Noah
Wait.
does.
You don't have any emails? No text messages?
I went through a bit of a mental breakdown and just deleted everything that I have.
I'll reach
So I
out to
don't
him.
have that. Yeah.
So I'm curious.
Oh.
I watched
Scott isn't gonna. He will reach out, but Caleb ain't gonna answer.
part of the second episode, and partway through, Caleb gives you a shirt with your face on it. It's a character that he started selling. So you're aware that he's still selling a shirt and a mug with your character on it. You're aware of that?
I am aware of that, and I'm also aware that my likeness is being used singing the theme song to his live stream.
There ain't no hiding, and I'm dancing on the horizon.
Okay.
I can't wait no more.
Wow. Are you aware that he claims if you go to the website, he claims that 25% of all the profit from those sales go to you.
Wow. That's incredible because I told him I don't like the design.
It says right
Okay. Why are you so focused on the design? Shouldn't you be focused on the profits part?
in the description that 25% of all profit from the
That's
t-shirt and the
amazing.
sales goes to Brent. You haven't received any of that?
No, not any accounting. Apparently, he doesn't do his own accounting.
So, Scott is bringing this up. It's not something Brent is bringing up in relation to him. Scott is asking a question regarding if he's receiving the money. Now, if it's true that Caleb isn't paying Brent the 25% of profits, I don't know if it's net profits or gross profits. Let's check to see, because this video, the interview was posted 9 days ago, before New Year's. So let's see, what is this called? Yeah, so here it is on the Caleb Hammer store. Still says, 25% of profits. So it's either gross profits or net profits. The other thing I could think of, no, it's not it. The other thing I was going to think of is if the price of the shirt was less than everything else in the store, then it's possible that there is no profit, because Caleb could reduce the price of this to the point where he either breaks even or he loses money, so then he doesn't technically owe Brent anything. But yes, if Caleb Hammer is not paying Brent the 25% of, I don't know if it's net or gross profit, but if he's not paying that, then he definitely should. And Brent is owed that.
Or go to you?
Wow.
But that's separate from this defamation lawsuit. This would be a separate issue.
That's incredible because I told him I don't like the design.
It says right in the description that 25% of all profit from the t-shirt and the sales goes to Brent. You haven't received any of that?
No, not any accounting. Apparently, he doesn't do his own accounting.
Do you have proof?
Wow,
I could understand why Brent doesn't have proof, because Scott is bringing this up mid-interview. It's a question. So he might have proof, and he just might post it later.
And that's a big, like, if you have evidence that you haven't received that money, like that right there. I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like that's a pretty open and shut case.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with Scott here. If Brent isn't receiving that money that he's owed, then it's pretty much open and shut that if a lawsuit were to occur.
He's claiming to his entire audience, hey, we're giving 25% of all the profit to Brent, and you get nothing.
I don't know. I don't really like Brent's body language.
Right there. I'm not a lawyer, but I feel like that's a pretty open and shut case. He's claiming to his entire audience, hey, we're giving 25% of all the profit to Brent, and you get nothing.
Wow. No,
He seems like he's just learning this information for the first time. He doesn't look like he's been. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you were supposed to receive 25%, but you didn't know, and then you're just learning now that you do. But yeah, he doesn't seem, because Brent seems like somebody who, yeah, I mean, they went on financial audit. They need a little. It sounds like they need money. I don't know why he's so focused on the design when it's just like, yeah, give me my goddamn money.
I have not received that.
You weren't aware of that.
I have
You
not
go to the
received any
website,
of
it
those
says that right in
numbers.
the description of both items.
I told him I don't like the design.
Why are you so focused on the design? You should be focused on the monetary part.
Don't
Who cares what the design is? You may have sold your likeness when you signed that contract.
use it. I didn't approve the design.
Wow, that's a really big deal. I'm
I don't know why you,
surprised that if
he
that's
doesn't
true.
seem really committed to this. This is more of like a personal thing, but I just don't really think Brent. I'm not sure if I believe him here.
That he's not giving you any money when he claims that is. That's a big. That's not. It's not something he should be doing.
It doesn't surprise me having worked with him for 3 years.
All right. Well, let's go ahead to the third time you decided to go on the show. This time,
Yes. Why would? So, first time you come in, you don't really know what the show's about. You get paid $50. You get an hour interview. Second time around, you start getting, or for first time, you start getting harassed. You start getting, people don't want to associate with you. Second time around, it took a while, but you say you're trying to clear your name and then get paid for it. So you get paid $4,000. And then why would you go back a third time? If the last 3 years have been hell, first one was bad, second one was even worse, why would you go back a third time? I want to know, why would you come back?
did they ask you back again, or did you want to get on? And one thing they said in the video is that you had been stalking their new producer, Lindsay, trying to get on the show. Is that true?
Wait, he's back. This is legit scary. When we went through his emails more in the post show, and we found he stalked our casting producer, Lindsay, the day she got hired, which was not public info. Let's see if we can find that video. This is the second video. This is the third one. Okay, let's read the.
Do you think you'd be famous?
This is a bit scary. Went through, got hired. This is legit fucked up. Watch here. Okay.
This is like my dream. I've
Oh, I gotta be a channel member. I'm.
always wanted to move out of America.
I really wish I didn't have to be a member to find all of this crucial information out. But it's also. Okay, I wonder if Scott shows it.
That is absolutely not true. This is interesting. I had been, I checked myself into a mental health care and rehab, partial hospitalization rehab in July. And when I got out, I got a email from Lindsay, the new casting director, and she said, "Hey, I was wondering if you'd be interested in coming back on."
So. Okay.
So over the
Different
next 2
pitch.
weeks, I was just fresh out of rehab, and I'm feeling great. And my OCD is perfectly treated, and meds are titrated. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. Maybe I can do it. And she's actually a delight. Like I was hesitant at first, but she is very good to talk with in pre-production. We're working out bits to play. All right, the fart machine bit, the
Brent sent over emails showing Lindsay reached out to him. This goes against Caleb's stalking claim. She sent dozens of emails to Brent and doesn't appear afraid of him at all. So, Okay, I don't have access to the post show, but the description said they had that he had been stalking her prior to the episode, and they realized it post show. So, at this let's see. Hey, Brent, it's a pleasure to meet you. I joined the Hammer Media team just after your last filming. I know you're a busy man, so we'll get right to the point. Are you interested in talking about coming back for another follow-up? Hope to speak with you soon. This doesn't necessarily prove that Brent didn't stalk her, because if the realization that he was stalking her occurred after the post show, they wouldn't be aware of it at this point.
Fine asshole audit bit. Like I've got some good material here that I'm bringing to the table, and I'm trying to.
I love the brainstorming you've been doing, especially Pussy Hat Lol. I had a quick chat with Caleb, and we can offer you $5K for filming. It would be 90-minute episode, a 20-minute post show, and 10 minutes for thumbnail photos, plus about 30 minutes for paperwork onboarding. Okay, so about 2.5 hours for $5,000. And I know I promised you some dates that could be available. As of now, here's what I have available.
Work with a new casting director who's ensuring me that the show
Happy
has
Monday.
changed.
Hope you had a great
She
weekend.
chose me this
and
episode of
I am audibly giggling
Ivory,
at the gift.
who has
Gift.
changed.
How's your day looking for a quick check-in? I'm pretty open after 2 p.m. today if you have time to connect. Senior casting director. Okay, but this doesn't necessarily prove that he wasn't, but if Caleb and his team are claiming that Brent is stalking them, I need to see some evidence of that. But this doesn't necessarily disprove that. So, but there's no allegation. There's an allegation of stalking. I don't have any evidence of proof. Person who's bringing forward allegations needs to actually provide evidence of that. I don't see that, so for the time being, I'm going to assume that Brent was not.
She chose me this episode of Ivory, who is another improv comic. He's another actor and another paid performer on the show. And she said, your episode will be like this. It's very lighthearted. And I was like, okay, this is great. The
Why would you? I mean, okay.
show has changed. Now I finally get my redemptive arc, right? I thought that they'd matured. She's an
Oh no, why would you come back again?
old pro. She's worked in LA. I thought, okay, they've elevated the show a little bit. And I agreed to it. And I was a little bit nervous going in because, I never know what Caleb's going to do. And I'm always afraid that they're going to spring something just from that reality television angle. And this time, what they did once more was frame me as a violent criminal and stalker. He framed me as wanting to kill the governor. When I have already won this case, by the way. This case I've won civilly and in criminal court. That was a metaphor. And so he's coming back to me saying,
But can you make a metaphor?
you wanted to kill the governor. I said, it's a metaphor. It's like arguing with a brick wall, and he keeps repeating it. And I tell him, that's libel. And he says, sue me.
Well, you were arrested for threatening the governor of Texas. So it's not necessarily libel or slander. Well, I guess if the charges were dropped or you disproved it, then it is. But it is a fact that you were arrested for it.
And I said I might. And so now I am.
Yeah. Okay.
And when that episode dropped, they libeled me once more, saying that I'm stalking Lindsay, the casting director.
Yeah, they said that in the description.
In the description, and on the very same day they dropped that onto YouTube, Lindsay sent me a generous, professional thank you email praising me, how good it was to work with me, said I'm lightning in a bottle.
Were you paid for that episode as well?
I was paid for that episode as well, $5,000 for that one.
5,000. And did you go to their actual filming studio, or is that someplace else?
No, that was another filming studio. And Caleb had security. Magnetic wanted me. They kept making jokes like, "Oh, are you going to pull a Joker situation?" And I was like, "Man, I would really appreciate it if you stopped going with that angle because I didn't agree to it. I don't like that characterization. I didn't agree to that." I told them this pre-production,
But I thought you were
just right
playing a
before we
character.
shot
You're
that night.
exaggerating your.
Of course, they didn't do anything about it because that was their
Okay.
angle the whole time.
Okay. And one thing I want to ask, Caleb claims like they provide a lot of help post-show to help
Uh-huh.
people get out of debt. What kind of help did they provide for you?
None.
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 Not even correcting the record that I am a working man. I may have several jobs as a freelancer. I'm a freelance writer. I'm a musician. I may be playing the old folks' homes, but I am a working musician. And yeah, I have got a lot of work going. I'm always busy.
So they didn't check up to see how much debt you'd paid off. They didn't provide you with any free courses or anything like that.
No, absolutely not.
Hmm.
Absolutely not. All they did was use the taquito line from the first episode as their slogan and named their studio after it.
All right. Well, let's go over the lawsuit. You did mention that in the third episode that you wanted to sue him. Is that
Correct.
still something you're going forward? Is it already starting? Have you found a
Absolutely.
lawyer? What's going on there?
Absolutely. I've been working with a contract lawyer. He's not really a litigator, but we've been building the case. The case is mostly built. The complaint is mostly written, but of course, I'll probably have to work with it when we find a litigator to take the case. I need a licensed um, attorney in Texas looking to take on a high-profile defamation case against the number 7 YouTube star in the United States of America for 4 counts of defamation with malice and civil conspiracy. The agreement that I signed on this last episode is substantially unconscionable in its terms, piercing it, and it is what's more, it was induced fraudulently
Have
by
you had the
this
lawyer look
person.
over the agreement that you signed?
Y- yes,
Hmm.
correct.
And is
And
that what he said?
that is correct. It is
Okay.
what he said, and that's how we're going to pierce it.
Yeah, after I did my first video on Caleb about a year and a half ago, I actually had,
Uh-huh.
I think, 2 or 3 different women reached out to me, very upset with how they had been presented on the show as well, and they also
Interesting.
wanted to sue him. And
Well, yeah, obviously, but there's a lot of people that are on Caleb's Hammer show that they're not financially literate, and lawsuits are very expensive. And if it's a very, if, I'm not saying Brent's lawsuit is frivolous, but if it is, because if you go on a show and you just display how you are as a character and people like take liberties with that, that's not necessarily how you're displayed is not necessarily like slander reliable.
unfortunately, they didn't follow through because
By his minions, did something happen while on the show? Just the typical put downs of shaming me, but I'm going to hire a lawyer for defamation because I'm constantly being harassed and I'm a public figure. Yeah, if you're a public figure, good luck. Um, yeah, it's almost not even worth it. Like the only defamation lawsuit that has actually worked was what Billy Mitchell, Carl Jobs, and that's because Carl, in Australian court defamed him. If you live in a different state than Caleb, good luck. You're probably looking at least 500 grand if you go to trial.
most of the people that appear on Caleb's show don't have, fortunately, they didn't
I was reached out to him through backstage and got paid. He told me to act a certain way, and his stupid ass minions are just eating it all up with no questions
follow
asked.
through because
He told me to act a certain way. Did you act that way? Because if you did, then you're playing a character.
most of the people that appear on Caleb's show don't have a lot of money. So that's the reason I
Correct.
feel like he hasn't actually been sued many times over, is because the
Mhm.
people, they feel terrible, a lot of them, how they were presented on
Right.
the show. They just can't afford to sue him because how expensive it is.
Right. And defamation cases are not usually taken on contingency.
Yeah, they are not because they are extremely expensive. They are extremely difficult to prove, and there is no guarantee of actual like profit for the lawyer. So you pretty much have to pay out of pocket.
I am trying to find that one lawyer who has
Wait, you
Has
don't have a
that
lawyer? I thought you said you're
righteous
suing him.
cause kind of attitude.
Yeah, good luck. Lawyers like money. You're not gonna find somebody. Not for a defamation case on contingency.
Willing to make a splash with a high-profile case to take it on
Okay.
contingency.
You're
It's not as cut and dry, and it's not as sure bet as your typical personal injury case. It's a little bit more complicated. It might be a little bit more lengthy, but I'm also guessing that he's going to settle. But
Why would he settle? You haven't even filed anything. You don't have a lawyer. Like, you could send a complaint. Anyone could send a complaint. It's super easy.
because it's so damning, when he gets that complaint in front of him, I bet you his lawyers
I'm pretty sure they're just gonna, like, shred it.
will tell him.
And, like, unless you serve him, I don't think he's gonna take this seriously at all.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Like, so the original title for this video was that Caleb Hammer is getting sued. Full Brent interview. There is no lawsuit currently going on. There's talks of a lawsuit, but Caleb hasn't been served with a lawsuit. Why? Okay. This isn't a live stream. Why would I'm
not a lawyer, but definitely the part you should have your lawyer look over the part with their website.
He doesn't have a lawyer. He just said he's looking for one.
Claiming to be giving you 25% for those products when
Yeah. So, okay, so Scott titled this that he's getting sued, Caleb needs to lawyer up. He's getting sued for defamation. And then Brent is basically just saying, no, I don't have I don't have a lawyer yet for this. I'm not ready. So that's probably why he changed the title of the video. Because that looks really bad. Like, if this was a live stream and Scott, just had, like, a live interview and he thought, Brent was going to be sued and changed it. But this is a script, like, this is a pre-planned video, like, edited. Like, okay.
you say that you've never received any of that. He definitely needs to take a look at that.
Yes.
So I'm just curious your final thoughts on Caleb when he wasn't filming. Was he nice to you, and anything else you want to say?
Not really. He's never been very nice.
No.
I don't think he's got the best social skills, to be honest with you. I think that his job that he's scoped out for himself suits him because he wouldn't be the kind of guy that I run into out and about and just feel like, oh, that guy was cool.
Yeah.
He was rude when I first met him, even right before we shot the first episode. And he never actually listened to me as I'm telling him that this is defamatory. I do work. I told you in that episode that I will take Uber Eats. And at the time, I was also working. I wasn't getting a lot of work, but I did have income. So I really feel like he is predatory in his approach to.
I mean, you could make that argument because people are desperate for, financial help, and, they just need something to get a little bit of a cash flow from being on the show. So you could maybe make an argument that he's being predatory in that regard, but at the end of the day, people don't have to come onto the show. Oh.
Predatory in his approach to his guests, and I would advise anybody against going on the show.
But you went 3 times.
Yeah. So you don't think you're going to go back for a 4th time then?
No, the next time I see him, if I do, will be in a court of law.
Okay. All right. Well, any final things you want to say? Do you need I don't know, are you looking for more help with your case or what? Anything you want to say?
Yes, absolutely. If you're a licensed attorney in Texas, litigator, willing to take action on this
Okay. If you find somebody, I guarantee they're not going to be a good lawyer.
claim, help me develop it, finalize it, file it, and represent me, I would be absolutely pleased to work with you. And please find me and DM me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So that was Scott Shafer's interview on Brent. I think okay, this is my opinion time. I think Brent believes a lot of what he's saying. I think it's really okay. I don't think so. Here's the thing. Brent plays an exaggerated version of himself to play it up for the cameras. He goes back several times when he knows the first time was, or he feels the first time it was too much. So he goes back a second and a third time. He doesn't really have any evidence for a lot of his claims. The only one that we see is the stalking emails, but we have no text messages. We have no emails. He's upset with how he's portrayed, but he's also had some positive experiences with fans, the photos. He's able to attribute some things to Caleb's show, but if you really look at it at a deeper level, you can't necessarily point to it and say that it's Caleb Hammer's show that caused the issue. So you have problems there because you have to attribute that Caleb's show is what caused all of this issue, all of these issues. He doesn't answer a lot of direct questions. So that's my problem with this interview. If the only thing that I will give credit for is if he is not being paid 25% of what he owes of the gross or net profits of Caleb's items with Brent's face on them that he is attributing to him, that is, Brent should, find someone. And I think that you actually will find a lawyer on contingency for that because it will pretty much be a slam dunk case against him. Now, I'm going to go and criticize Scott here. I think Scott not doing... I think this interview is incredibly reckless. I don't think Scott should have posted this because Scott is trying to look for answers from Brent to affirm his beliefs of Caleb. It's clearly obvious that he's already made up his mind. He's not an impartial interviewer in this video. He doesn't like Caleb. Caleb doesn't like him. And he's trying to fish for answers to, solidify his bias, preconceived notion of Caleb Hammer. You're not the right guy to do this interview. There's a lot of things that you could have pushed back on and kind of press Brent a little bit more on and try to get more of an understanding of how what does Brent mean by this? How can you really be sure that you were defamed in this way? Press him more on why did you go on the show again? Because Brent just literally went in a circle regarding I was threatening him and I want to set up a boxing match. I'm like, okay, well that just seems like you're really clout hungry. You really just want attention and you want notoriety from this. It doesn't seem like you really want justice. And you're happy, you're bantering, you're laughing in some parts. You don't really seem particularly traumatized by all this harassment that you're getting. Excuse me. So I think Scott. I think this hurts Scott's credibility. I think the fact that he actually still has this video up is pretty bad. I think now that I've seen more of Scott's videos on Caleb, I think there is some genuine criticism with Caleb. So the group messages, it's creepy. I don't like it, but I do believe Caleb that it's a joke. Poopgate. Scott said, reviewed a Reddit post. Somebody said that they knew Caleb. The Redditor had evidence that they actually knew Caleb. And then they made an allegation that Caleb was smearing poop all over their bathroom wall. Caleb acknowledged that they knew this person, but they they denied the poop wall. And Scott made such a big deal that, yeah, well, why would you ever admit that you knew this person? But this part, the poop smearing wall is, he's clearly lying. And I don't know why Scott seems to associate that just because you know somebody doesn't also mean that they aren't being hyperbolic or potentially malicious with what they're saying. Because Caleb could turn around and say, yep. Because if we flip the logic around and Caleb says, yeah, I knew that guy, but, you know, he beat children and he did this, he did XYZ, he did da 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 da. You could make the argument, well, because Caleb knew this guy, that everything else that Caleb is saying is true if the guy denies it, which makes no sense because the guy had no evidence that the actual like poop smearing had occurred. And Scott Shafer is supposed to be kind of like an investigative journalist. At least that's what his YouTube channel, you know, purports, that he does a little bit of investigative journalism. So I think this is really, and okay, so we got the interview, we have the group messages, we have Poopgate, and then we have Caleb's interaction on Bumble, which I do think there is actually something here. And I think if Scott was just not so, like, I hate Caleb and I'm looking for everything to go against Caleb, I think he actually would have some basis on this, because in the interaction that the Bumble, like on the Creepy Caleb subreddit, we read through the ladies' interaction on Bumble, how Caleb actually got banned, how they actually had interactions with Caleb, and we read through Caleb's response on his subreddit and how he stated that, excuse me, that he only gets, you know, audio consent recordings prior to, you know, hooking up with somebody. However, in the video later on that Scott showed, he said, oh, well, the video like captures, you know, everything. Like they'll just be around here, which is totally different than what he said. Like that the video is meant for just audio recording, which is an actual contradictory statement from Caleb, which I think Scott should have probably pressed more on than the group messages, because Caleb admitting that it's a, like, you know, it's a group chat. I mean, it's vile, but I could see it being a joke, and, you know, Caleb hasn't done anything like that. So, and then Scott focusing on Twitch comments and how he would get permanently banned and things that he's like streaming, when Scott is, I would actually argue, probably being malicious at this point, because you don't get permanently banned for a community guideline strike. You get, you know, 7 days that you can't post anything, and then you get 3 strikes within 90 days, you're off the YouTube platform. I know this as somebody with 0 subscribers, barely any viewers. That is just a lie. Like, Scott is just lying, because somebody in his position should know how that works. So, in short, I think Scott Shafer is woefully, or like incredibly biased towards Caleb Hammer, and he's willing to come up with anything or stick to any principle in order to try to take him down. And this comes across as it from normal people. I think it just comes across as like you have a lot of, like, there might be a couple nuggets of truth in there, but there's all of this other content that you're trying to push, and it doesn't make you a reliable narrator. Like, I can't trust what you're saying, Scott, because there's been so many things that are not an issue, or that you're trying to correlate to things that aren't actually like correlatable. Like, the biggest one that stood out to me for Scott being like a malicious individual, at least when it comes to Caleb Hammer, was like Poopgate. Like, yeah, Caleb can deny this, but the person literally had no evidence for this prior. So you can know somebody, but that doesn't mean you had everything that they say is true. So does that mean like Caleb Hammer knew you once in real life, so that means he can say anything, and if you deny it, you're a liar? That doesn't make any sense, Scott. So, I put up the Reddit post for this interview, and we'll see what some of these people say. So this is the Creepy Caleb subreddit. People here are biased towards Caleb Hammer, so I want to just see what they say. So, Brent and Caleb are the most toxic, dysfunctional relationship I've ever seen. They deserve each other. And then we got Brent in the comments: of all the hate mail I've received the last 3 years, this is the worst. How could you possibly think of that? I wish I had never responded to that casting call. Good luck. Lawsuits are stressful. It was bound to happen one day with Caleb. Do you have a lawyer? With no respect intended, I think you're emotional halfwit who's trying to capitalize off the petty meaningless of internet drama. We already have a Zionist attention. Okay. So even people in the Caleb, like the Snark subreddit, don't really like Brent. So tired of these stupid thumbnails. Referring to Scott's thumbnail. I hope Brent makes a ton of money off the views from this beef. I don't care for it much, but give me great satisfaction. I'm digging Scott's anti-Caleb content. I'm not, because I think Scott is doing malicious disregard for the truth. Scott is my go-to anti-Caleb, anti-scammer channel after Spencer Cornelia. Scott, who, in case you honestly don't know, Scott Shafer. Even Scott's viewers think this is stupid. This is pathetic. You must really have an axe to grind. This guy doesn't seem like a strong case for defamation. To be fair, the guy's a narcissistic man-child. Caleb, I know this is a lot for you to process. Maybe go back to your sub and start banning people who don't kiss your ass. Why interview this guy? You're just feeding the machine. Even Scott's viewers think definitely no defeating because he's got a show. He's been damaged. This has given him a platform. Yeah, like, well, I don't understand why Scott is giving this person a platform. Okay, you can give this person a platform, but like the content that you're showing here, I wouldn't even post this. Like, there's no, not this. Basically, you didn't do any pushing back. You allowed your interviewee to just spout off a lot of, you know, stuff, and you didn't do any pushing it back of the content. And you basically just gave him a platform to just spout out his ideas. So let's read through the video. The guy deleted all the proof he claims he had. So convenient. A lot of what this guy says is unbelievable. Scott is going to say comments are full of Caleb fams, but for real, listen. So everyone, people in the comment sections are like, even his own fans. I don't see a defamation case. Only 4 decisions. Same here. I don't see a defamation case. 4 counts of defamation. Yeah, right. I don't see an option for that. It's hard to watch. Brent comes across as a vulnerable adult, making choices that aren't in his best interest. Yeah, but he's an adult, so the guy embarrassed himself in $50 for 1 million views online, and he knew he was an acting gig. Yeah, I agree. Sounds like he regrets not negotiating for more. Totally. It's like if there was a $2.8 million or 2.8 million view channel, and you were on it for $50. Like, I would be upset. Like, I should have asked for more money. Right away, I see the problem for this lawsuit. If this guy is approaching the job as an acting gig and handed up for the camera of his own mission, then he's going to have a problem proving anything in court. He demonstrated knowledge that the show is not 100% genuine or truthful, and he knew that before his first appearance. Good luck proving defamation from a show that you were acting in. Acting as... Yeah! I didn't even think about this. Yeah, so basically, like, you're acting as a character, and then people are poking fun at you because of how you acted on the show. That's not defamation. You're going to have a really hard time proving that in court. So they really just need to F already. I think Caleb gave him a bad edit, but I pray my life is never messy as him. Caleb's predatory with the guys. So they think it's stupid. But Caleb has a lot of problems, but Brent is like the least reputable person to file a lawsuit, going to be a glorious trend. Yeah, so like even people on the Snark subreddit know this is a bad interview. People that hate Caleb Hammer, that want to like they just hate him. They just want to see him fail. They know it's a bad interview. Like, it's not 100% uniform. I think it's important to keep in mind that Brent has said and done some really crazy things. I might not prove everything Caleb does, but I'm not going to listen to this guy without a lot of skepticism. Same here. I think he's just upset about how people reacted to his behavior. I agree. Maybe there's stuff going on behind the scenes that we just haven't seen yet. I'm upset at being defamed on 4 counts, all demonstratable, refusing to work, sending Caleb death threats. Yeah, but you have to prove damages. Minimum. You have to prove damages. Sending Caleb death threats. You can interpret threats, you know, differently. Wanting to kill the governor. You were arrested, weren't you? I thought for sure you were arrested. Stalking Lindsay. This one I don't have any evidence for, so I'm not going to say anything about it. Um, yeah, so I don't I think this is a really bad video. I think this interview is horrible. I think Scott Shafer is completely biased in this context of Caleb Hammer, and it makes him look um, like he's platforming. He's willing to platform anybody that just hates Caleb Hammer.